And good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, and I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. Welcome back in. How's everyone doing this evening? Welcome in there. Let's see who we got. We got Lost Inc., Mr. Wizix, Shrimp Father. Hey, how's it going? Pez Liz, how's it going, Liz? Timor, Chewy. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. Hope everyone's doing well. So I've got a few things that I want to show you. Hey, Aussie, how's it going? I want to show you a couple of things that I've been printing on over the last couple of days and actually working on. Um, and some of these um, are, I think, pretty interesting. And at some point, you might go, well, but you can buy that. Why would you print that out? Well, because of size, because of options, because I can, right? Uh, Placed a pre-order for the Cobra S1 combo. Awesome, Timor. Yeah, I did that as well. So hopefully we see that here in a couple of weeks. I think they said like the 5th to the 15th is the window. So looking forward to that. How's your second day back at work? Eagle the Dragon, work is work. Um, I'll leave it at that. There were some frustrations today, but all in all, it was good. Um, Much cheaper to print the parts too? Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Um, and that's the thing is I think when I show you this, you'll be like, yeah, you could probably get that cheaper, but you got to figure some of that stuff out. Um, Sack them all. I'm assuming that was a work comment there, Aussie. Yeah, I can't sack people. I'm not a manager anymore, but it was just eh, eh. Um, yeah, well, it is what it is. It was just one of those things that everybody. It's the second day back. Some people are pinging about this, that, and whatever, and it's just like, come on, guys, we're 2 days back. Why are we pinging and firing off and just being all crazy? So I think it's just too many people had too much time off, and now they're coming back and losing their mind. Um, but yeah, and right now I will say I've got no coffee. How about that? I've got water because I've already had a couple of cups of coffee, and Mrs. Dragon just left to go get coffee, so I wasn't gonna keep going. I am trying to hydrate just a little bit more right now because I've been getting that kind of sick feeling, but any here's the thing. Anycubic hasn't inspired me majorly, right, Chewy? But here's the thing. It looks very similar to this and this, right? Kind of, you know, copy paste, rub a little dirt on it, change the logos up, type of thing. Here's the one difference. This has just two little places for dryers, so everybody adds all the extra desiccant dryers in these and stuff, right? Um, but they seal up tight, which at first you go, oh, that's great. Um, the reason this is open, the humidity level in this chamber has dropped almost 20% just by opening the lid and letting the heat and the moist heat out of it, believe it or not. Because it sits on top of a printer that's been printing all day. So it does convect heat up into it. And there's no place for that heat to go because it's fully sealed. The one thing that the Anycubic has that I really want to test out is their, what do they call it? The uh, ACE. Their ACE filament system has an included dryer. So it's going to heat things. Now, if it's got some type of venting to let out some of that heat and moisture, that's going to be great. I also just saw today that Creality announced they came out with something that looks a lot like a Bamboo A1 with their CFS attached to it. And that's a darn good price point as well. So I think everybody has realized the market that these guys captured, and they're going directly after it, and they're not looking too much different. They're not bringing anything different. Always been 4. They did 4. Everybody else has been doing 4. Nobody went 5 or 8 out of the box or whatever. And they all seem to. The Ace only does 8, but they all seem to be 4 of these daisy chained together is pretty much the recipes. So it's pretty much 1 for 1 off of these guys. And why are they cheaper? Because they didn't have to do the R&D to make this. They bought one and they copied it. Is that a bad thing? Depends. Like, somebody came after them. If they're willing to go after other people for their patents, love them or hate them. So here, love them or hate them. Okay, Stratasys does not enforce their patents all the time, and they go after people when everybody looks at the litigation paperwork and goes, huh? Like, why haven't you gone after some of the other people, like the printer that you all know I have right down here? Okay. Now, another company by the name of Games Workshop and their Warhammer 40,000, they go after people all the time. They have to a T fought for their IP. So when you get a cease and desist from Games Workshop, because they're going to come after you. The other one just kind of picks and chooses when they decide to go after companies, and that's not good. And Chewy, to go back and answer your question, am I okay? Yeah, I'm just starting to feel like maybe I've got a cold or something. I don't know. So, but yeah, like I said, Mrs. Dragon was going to get coffee right now, so I wasn't going to make some and then continue to drink coffee all night. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is do something that makes it different. And that's the thing is at least with the Ace, it's 250 cubed, right? So this is like some weird 256 whatever. What is it? 256 256, which is just weird. Not that standard size we're used to. Oh well, who cares? So it's about that size, which is a little bit bigger than this size. And it's got the 4-into-1. Okay, great. But there's some slight differences. The buffer's built into the back of this unit rather than being something else that's added on to the back. It's got the heated chamber for the filament. Okay, we'll give it a try. We'll see. Yeah, that was the thing, Ozzy, that I was trying to say is why did they go after Bamboo and not Prusa? Right? Is Prusa paying a license that nobody is aware of? Because there's a lot of things that were in the litigation for this that they could have gone after anybody for, much less anything else. So, hey, Free Heathen, welcome on in. Hey, Creatix Brit, welcome on in. So I said before that I was going to show you a couple of things that I've been printing. Well, I've been printing out, and that's currently what's going on behind me, SCADAS panels, right? These are 200 by 200 millimeters with a 25 millimeter offset mounting hole. And this is being done on the Creality K1C. This one's being done on the BambuLab. And yes, those are 2 different whites. And yes, I know that. This is using Polymaker white that I have sitting back here on a 5 kilo spool. So I'm ripping a bunch of these off, and I was ripping some of these off on the bamboo and just really trying to compare and contrast. And I'm going to find places to use both of these. Now this is a file I grabbed off of MakerWorld, and let me grab the link for that real fast and toss it in here. Okay. So this is a link off of MakerWorld for a modular pegboard panel. It's an IKEA compatible. I've taken some other stuff off of my SCADA's panels over here, and they've slipped right on, no problems. They have them in different sizes. Now, what I found is trying to do the 240 on the X1 Carbon, it gets into the area in the front left corner that is a no-go zone, and it won't let you. So if you're going to do the 240 by 240, you need to pull it down and go over on like a 300 size printer or an A1 that doesn't have that exclusion zone. Yeah, they're IKEA SCADA's panels. They're fully compatible with that. But I want to come down here and show you something else. So that's the accessories. Where does he talk about the wall mount? 1 second. So it works with two different types of wall mounting. In this case, this is a wall mounting for a C45 rail. What do we mean by a C45 rail? Well, we mean basically it's DIN rail, right? So it's C45, it's basically DIN rail or electrical railing that you would use for mounting things. So rather than sit there with a level and try and figure it out and do these two long holes, you can take and level off a piece of DIN rail, mount that, and then start at the top, mount all the way across, and then you can just keep attaching these together using these different style fasteners. So this would be like a 4-way fastener. You print it out. You would put 4 M4 hex nuts in the back, slide it under, go through the front panel and screw it in, and then add your next set of panels in. And I would probably do like 2 rows and then do another C channel and use one of these connectors up here on the top left on that C channel that gives you the 4 mount panels on that C channel. So pretty cool, neat idea. And I'm getting this and I'm printing out a bunch of these. Like I said, I've got a few of these. There's about 10 right here, 5 in each shade, 2 more on the printer, because I've got some weird walls. I've probably shown you guys this before, but I've got these sloped walls. Well, if I put a SCADA panel up here, I have to put it like way down here. Well, maybe I want something up higher. These being smaller and more modular, you can place them around, right? I can bring it down the side over here and stuff like that. So I'm going to use it in other places around the office to set up for some more stations. I've got some, like I said, I've got some ideas. We're starting the business. We're going to be doing some stuff with that business. I'm going to need places to have like maybe a pack and ship station, something like that I'll need to set up. So just something. And really the thing here is you're not going to print a full-size SCADA panel, right? But having the ability to print different sizes, like you can take one of these panels and take it into work and hang it up and just have a couple of small things like a little post-it note or something like that, right? If you're in the office. So yeah, this is pretty interesting, and it's letting me break in and get some time on that K1C behind me. So that's one of those things that I've been working on there. There's something else that I've been printing on that I can't show just yet because I don't have all the parts yet, and I need to show that as a completed unit. But the other thing that I wanted to show you is progress has been being made. Where's my free heathen at? So you keep talking about a bolter. Well, how about a chain sword, right? And not just any chain sword, but how about a fully mechanized chain sword, right? So I've got this laid out. They're about in the right spots. I can't fully finish it out just yet. I've got to get my chain in here, and before I can get my chain in here, there is a piece of 6mm all thread that has to go down in the middle because that's the tensioning mechanism. So what'll happen is I'll get the chain laid on here, and then I'll use that to tension it out, and then we'll be able to test run it on the bench using the bench power supply. It uses a 12-volt, 260 RPM. This is a worm geared motor. And it's going to be running off of, what is it, 18360? 18360? I think that's right, 18360 lithium cell batteries. So, but this is 400mm carbon rods that end here and then goes up to here. And there's a whole handle mechanism that comes off the back. So you'll be seeing some progress of this as I build it. And I have ordered paint. I will be painting this and trying to do a decent paint job on it. Now, the one thing you'll see is there's texture on this centerpiece, right? And that's on all the panels until we get right here. For whatever reason, when they slice this, they stood this up. And well, I know why, is because this area right here is recessed, this is recessed, and you can see that this gets a cover that goes over it because that's how it connects to the chain itself. I'm going to take this part and just reslice it. Yes, this will get ugly from having the support material up against it, but I want to keep this texture. I think having this texture in the middle is actually going to be a selling point and piece for this piece. Den rails are expensive though, but you can get aluminum den rail that's not as expensive, and it's going to be just as good for this because we're not going to be hanging a huge amount of weight on it. Yeah, it's 18650 are the bigger brothers. These are 18, I think 360. They're smaller, and they're like 3.8 volts nominal each. It's just they're a smaller version of the same thing. So 18 is the roundness, or it's 18 millimeters in diameter, and 665 or 600. No, it's not 650 millimeters. How that'd be huge. It's basically like half the length of an 18650, right? The build is done. You just need to hook it up and run it. You ran out of time for a few weeks. Got to move houses, so it's on the back burner. Got to move houses. That sucks. You just got tracking from Fabrico for number 2. That's good. Heat up a build plate and press it into it. Probably not going to work as well. I'd have to really cook that build plate, and I really don't want to do that. I'll just reprint this. And by the way, these weird shaped pieces right in here are the locking pins that lock the pieces together. And they are such a tight fit, there is no glue on this. Right? There is no glue. So I can wiggle, wiggle, wiggle and take this piece back off. They're just really, really tight fits, but I'll be able to take this piece off. Like I said, I'm going to take just this piece, slice it, reorient it so that it's facing down like that, so I can get that texture on these panels. Some of this gets covered up with another panel anyhow, but I think having this texture here is going to provide a little bit to it. I will sand down here. We will have to do some filler, but as you can see, that crease kind of goes away right here. So I'll be very, very gentle with the filler in this area, fill the cracks, and sand everything down. And I think that's going to come out nicely, or at least that's my thought right now. The chain is going to be done in lead belcher, and then this stuff's going to be spray painted with, was it Chaos Black? And then the center part gets masked off, and it'll come over the top with lead belcher, and then we start doing a bunch of fine tuning of the color scheme and stuff. But yeah, this is, I mean, that's pretty big. That's pretty massive right there. And I do have a bolter and a storm bolter that is in the works as well. I know Free Heathen keeps asking me about when I'm going to do a bolter. They're printed. They're going to be put together here shortly. They are not, what am I trying to say? They are not functional, mechanical, or anything like that. So I'm going to have to set this down here. And yes, that's some of the stuff that we've been printing lately. I ordered a Voxel PLA Bento Box. Everything's right in here. I don't know if I'm going to have to assemble it or not. This is printed in their PetG Pro, so I'm going to roll with that. And if I need to, I will reprint the parts in something a little more temperature tolerant, because this will be in a printer that I'm going to have a heated chamber addition to. So if it looks like I'm going to need it, I will put a bunch of other stuff on it. Or put a bunch of other stuff on it. I will reprint it in a higher temperature tolerant material. But everything comes in here. We've already got a HEPA filter in there. This has the activated charcoal already installed in it. Come on, open sesame. There we go. So we've already got activated charcoal in there. So that's a nice little touch. It comes with all the activated charcoal in there. The HEPA filters installed. All the magnets are installed. It's basically install the fans, route the wiring, and everything basically just lines up, a couple of screws, and we're done. So that'll be pretty nice to set up. Should be fairly easy to do. And then we'll grab the printer, bring it over here, because we're going to need to install that in the printer, and we'll install the heating element in the printer as well. Oh yeah, definitely. The serial prints are great. I still need to send in the serial print for the last one I did, which was the actual LDO beta kit. So and I'm going to come over here. And of course, go here, working, it's not on the right. So here's that Bento Box. It's $35, and you can get standard colors, you can get all black, you can get it with 40/20 fans or 40/28. I will tell you this. I put 4028s in the other one that I self-sourced and built. Those things are incredibly loud. If you get the standard, it's the multicolor one here, so each section's a different color. I wanted it full blacked out, so that's the way I went with it. So it's two-stage filter, medical grade HEPA, and acid-free activated carbon. The way that it does it is it pulls air from the top down through the HEPA filter, so it collects any large VOC particles first. Then it goes through the activated carbon, and that pulls out any smells. Then down through the fans and out through the bottom here. And by doing that, it's cleaned all that air. It's shooting out the bottom. So what I'm going to have is on one side of the printer, I'm going to have heat that's coming up from the top. This is on the other side. It's sucking from the top down. So we're going to create a nice convection stream in that printer to help keep things nice and warm in there and give us some good steady temperatures. Because I am going to be printing some more nylon, some more polycarbonate, polycarbonate CF. So what is that, Chewy? No prefer for the HEPA filter? Oh, are you trying to say no pre-filter for the HEPA filter? I mean, there technically is room in there if you want to cut some. Normally, it's a carbon pre-filter that you would put in there. You can. There's nothing that stops you from adding any type of pre-filter in there. Yeah, stupid autocorrect. I got you. So yeah, this works good when you're dealing with those higher temp and more VOC prevalent filaments. And the reason I came here is they do have the assembly instructions in here. I'm going to scoot this part. Oh, by the way, to give you another idea on that, this is the actual handle size for the for that chain sword. This is going to be your activation stud, and that's the actual handle size. Like that's definitely a two-hander or strong one-hander. Okay, so where are we at? Most of the stuff is already done. We are going to need to insert the fans into the fan cover and feed the cables through the holes to make sure that the sticker on the back of the fan is facing the two holes. Okay. So fan going down through here with the wires going through that hole. And the label on the fan is facing down. So you get your wire fully through there. Way. Oh, and apparently I did get the 4028, so this ought to be great. This be nice and soothing in the office here. So got our fans through there. Organize the cables from both fans to either the left or the right on the fan duct. Base with the L on the bottom for the BambuLab machine, and At the L on the bottom here will be for the BambuLab. There's a wing on one side that had for a screw down, and we're going to bring our wires right out this left side here. Basically, we're going to just bring our wires and make sure that they're going down out that left side. We're going to add in some screws. I'm going to line this up, and we're going to need our long screws here. These are countersunk. And these will be going down into heat set inserts. So this is what's going to join these two bottom pieces together. Yeah, anything just collect dust. Now, you can also, and I believe they've talked about this before, is on the bottom of your little piece here, you can like super glue a little bit of pantyhose. Just take some pantyhose and super glue it to the bottom here. That'll work. I mean, pantyhose is essentially nylon, so that works pretty well. And I'm not super duper cranking down on those, but I am trying to make sure they're snug so that there's not any additional rattle there. So there's that piece. And only for the BambuLab printers, attach the Bento Box on the L-shaped plastic on the right back of the printer. Yeah. L-shape. Back here where they're going with that, but we'll see. We'll bring the printer over and then we'll take a look at that. Try and figure that part out. Room there. Already unplugged and shut off the printer, so it's just needing to grab it and bring it over here. Okay, so looking at that, it says on the right back of the printer, like I see that sticker, but it's way up here. So are they like talking about putting it way up here in the frame? Because that wouldn't make any sense because this would be hitting it the whole time. Or are they talking about you can't put it here because it would hang? We're talking about putting it somewhere here along the backside, like, because I don't even think that would fit between there. Wouldn't fit there, and that would cause issues. You know what I'm trying to see there? Are they talking about hanging it upside down? Out the fan cables to the hole in the back left of the machine. The hole goes out the bottom of the machine. Okay, well, I see that. Probably need to get my bed up a little bit higher, especially since it'll probably make it easier to get in there and work. So let me plug this in. We'll get that bed raised up. And while that's going on, get my door taken back off. Hey, 3D Medic Vents, how's it going? There, grab that and that. Set those over there. Okay. Fine, home the machine and let me move things. Kind of looking like it wants me to do this, mount it in the back, right, like near the top somehow. I wonder if it wanted me to like hang this down off the side frame. Oh, that doesn't seem to work either. People I've seen use it actually mount it down at the bottom, so I don't know why you'd have it sitting up at the top. And I'm going to grab my Hodo real fast, and then I'm going to set you guys on mute while I suck up a few things, because the bottom of this thing is all kinds of dirty. So let me put you on mute real fast. And I'm back. So the Hodo works really, really well. I can't take credit for that. I saw that on 3D Print SOS's channel. So definitely worthwhile to have for these smaller enclosed printers so that you can get in there and clean things up a lot easier. Thank you, Mrs. Dragon. Okay. So we've now got this up at the top. The one thing that I want to double check is I want to make sure that when I do my bento box, when it's all the way over here on the right, it's just out of the way of everything. That's another reason why I want to make sure that it's fully over on the right and down at the bottom. So, like I said, I'm not sure what they were doing. Now we do have a hole right over here that I'm not sure what is there. But we can't put it along the back because then it's in the way. We have to put it on the side. And once again, if we put it in here in any way, shape, or form upside down, there's no way of mounting it in this orientation. So that's where I'm saying it's got to go over here like this. So I wonder, let's power this down so that we can work on it some. And by work on it some, I mean kind of put it on its side so that I can check out the bottom and see if there is a screw hole that I can screw things into. Or what am I, what I'm seeing at the bottom there. I think ah so we don't have the light anymore, but hopefully we get enough light. So you see that's where my screwdriver's at. If I sit the base of this down right there, this hole appears to line up, yes, with, whoops, that hole appears to line up right where that screwdriver is. Where that screwdriver is going is this hole right here, which is out of the way of any belt path. And I believe that this should be a threaded hole. If not, we'll basically thread it with an M3 screw as we lock this down. And that will attach this at the bottom of the printer. Now, there is this raised spot there on the deck panel, but I'm not sure if that's going to make much of a difference. We're basically going to screw it down right here, which will, we'll keep it level and add it right there to that spot. And I apparently keep getting grease all over myself. But we do have a way of mounting this and going in through there. Now this is a countersunk screw, and I don't have any other screws in there, so I need to make sure if that's a 2.5 or 3, or actually, let me rephrase that. The kit came with, the printer came with screws that held the bed down, and I believe that's exactly what we're going to use, what I'm going to use to mount this. I'm going to grab one of those. 2 millimeter, 2 millimeter head screw. And that L is actually that cutout. So this is going to sit flat on the bottom. How's it going, Pete? Welcome in. So this will use 4020s or 4028s. I thought I had ordered the 4020s. I actually ordered the 4028s. So, and boom, we are locked down, and that's pretty nice and solid there. And it says to bring these 2 wires around, and then there's a hole over here in the bottom left that we're going to put them through. And that goes through the bottom of the printer. And there is one that goes through, and the other one. All right, so both of those are through. I'm going to bring these back some, and we'll do something to try and keep these, maybe grab some tape or something, tape them right along the back edge of the wall, and we'll keep those down and out of the way, or at least looking like they're somewhat out of the way. I can put some tie downs. Good gracious. Nice grease. A lot of grease on there. Okay. Tie downs and zip ties. Do I have any of those? Oh, wait. Zip ties and tie downs from a Lineo kit. We can put a couple of these along the back, along the bottom. It'll be out of the way of the bed. And we'll be able to zip tie these down. And I am going to do these along the absolute bottom, like the bottom deck, rather than the back, because I want them to be out of the way of the bed itself. If the bed goes fully down and we have wires going across at the bottom, it may cause us a problem. So we'll try and keep everything on the bottom deck in the back so that it's as unobtrusive as possible. Right there. Once again, we don't want to put one right in front of the bed mount, but we can go on one side or the other. So we'll go right on the other side of that bed mount. Added the filter to your 2.4 the other day. Seems to work well. Yes. Um, just having a filter works surprisingly well as a chamber heater, because when you do a bento or a whatchamacallit, a Nevermore, it circulates the air, and just circulating the air is going to help heat things up. Um, right. And I'm trying to do this so you all will be able to see it. I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to have to turn this a bit so that I can see what I'm doing, and probably kind of climb all up in here. So bear with me 1 second. Get a little bit of light in there. I do want to try and make this install look semi-decent, you know. Just going to get a couple of zip ties in here to hold things in place. And the other side is going to get the heater. Once again, we'll be applying heat at the other side, and this is going to be sucking things down and from the top to the bottom and flowing it through. So that's going to uh, help keep the air circulating and moving pretty well. So, okay, that's two. I don't think we'll need a third one, maybe. And if we do the third one, I'm thinking we'll probably want to add in any wiring coming from the heater to this mix. So I don't want to I don't want to put the third one in just yet because I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to put it. But I do know you need to clip the tails off these and clip them tight along the head of the zip tie. You do not want to be reaching in there and grab the bottom of a zip tie, or a sharp edge of a zip tie. So it almost looks like it's disappeared, which is what I was going for. Let me bring you guys in here, and we'll see we're just routing that wire down here along the back. We'll going down through that hole, and we've got our two wires hanging out here, so we'll do the rest of the wiring there. Now the other item that we're going to be adding in here is the mini heater. And this is directly from the the mod page that Ember Prototype set up. So I kind of don't feel like I need to list this out, but you can go out and see this mod. He's got a video on it and stuff. Now, the only downside, and I don't want to tear this apart. He tore this apart in his video, right? We're going to have the heater up here, there is a fan, there's a blower fan that blows up across a ETC heater right here. This is the on off button. What we're going to do is we're going to turn that on, and then this face is going to get VHB'd right there on the side of the case. Okay, it's going to get lifted up a bit. It's not going to be resting all the way down on the ground. And the reason being is this takes a two-prong outlet like this. So if I remember right, what he did in his video was basically took the back panel off and ran this down the inside. So we'll bring the wire up, go down the inside of the poop chute. There is room along the back of the poop chute to kind of run some wires down through there. And that will give us the ability to run that wire down through the back panel here. Let me work on turning this around. Okay. And you will see I do have my my spool holder mounted on this one. I do use it fairly often. And we're going to have to take all the screws off to remove this rear panel. So that means we're also going to need to remove things like our here and stuff like that. So we'll be able to take the rear panel off. So these are all going to be 2mm screws. And this is where I say it may actually void your warranty doing all this. So just be aware, be cognizant. If you care about your warranty, just know that doing something like this may void that warranty. Doing something like this and publishing it on Twitch and YouTube is probably going to be a good way of avoiding said warranty. Drop the screw in there. So I'm just working my way around. And undoing the screws, I'm going to need a 2.5, which I don't have up here, but I do have this one. We're going to need to remove the mount on this, which is just the two. That off to the side. Okay, working our way down. Turn your part cooling fan up and put nozzles on the bed to circulate some air. Yep. So the Bento Box is pretty easy. This is going to go to a basically it's going to go into a barrel connector right here. So we'll strip and bring our two wires in here and close them down, and that creates the barrel connector. and it goes into a wall wart. This is a 24 volt, 1 amp outlet. Um, and then the heater is a mains heater, so it will go directly onto the mains. Okay, all the perimeter ones are done. Ooh, we need to take the 2 out around the poop chute. So far, all of these are the same size. One down here in the bottom middle. And one above the power outlet, it's like. Now, everything seems loose except for right here. We still got 2 more screws here. Need to go through the back panel. Longer one. Okay, so it looks like those are not coming off unless I do something here, and I am not going to do that there. I should be good to flip my cord down and through there, or up and around. Straighten my cord out as best as I can. So basically what I'm looking at is there is room. It'll be kind of hard to see. See if I can't bring you all in here. So this is kind of what we're seeing. We've got the lead screw and the linear rod. And we're bringing this in right underneath the poop chute there and just looping it up and in. Okay. And then what Ember Prototypes does is he just brings this straight down. Let me just try and figure out. Just basically brings this straight down and out. We'll go through and start putting all the screws back in, and we might leave 1 or 2 in but slightly loose so that we're not crimping on the wire that much, but we're still getting our back closed up and flush. We're basically just going to have one more thing coming out the back. Now, since this is 110 rated, you may say, well, can I just tap into the standard mains power? Maybe. I probably would not, because so far, even doing this, there is nothing that can't be reversed in what I have done. Everything that I have done here right now can be reversed with minimal to no visibility. I mean, you know, take the zip tie downs out, and you can clean that with some goof off, and boom, no one's the wiser. So you do have to be careful that you, like I said, you don't smash down on that. So if anything, I might not put that screw back in, which will still let me close everything pretty much back up except that one spot. Yeah, leave no trace mods. It's really the best way to do mods, if possible, is to make it so that they're fully, you're able to fully back out from them. Oh, okay. That. Please. Once again, doing this one, we're good. This will be our cord for that. We'll just kind of bring it down and run it around. Leave that one undone. Would have went there. Or anything goes in this. Be a mistake. I don't think anything went in there. I think that one was the screw that went in there. This will mount my thing again. This has a clip in the back that needs to clip down in there. And there's your buffering system. Pretty easy. And just like that, we're going to be back almost as if nothing happened. Mount our filament holder again. Because once again, I do use this occasionally. There, that there. This went, where does this go? There. This will go up to the whatchamacallit. Now, when we go to add this in, there's two ways to control this. One, we're going to have the um, thing set to be turned on all the time. So there's a couple of ways we can control this. One, we can do it with a smart outlet, right? So grab like a Google, Amazon, Apple compliant, whatever you got in your house, or anything. It's like Kasa, TP-Link that you can run a mobile app on. And that way you only turn on the outlet and therefore turn on the heater when you're going to be running those engineering filaments. Otherwise, it just sits there, right? Just sits there, takes up space, and it's not actually running. that's probably one of the better ways to do it. Um, because once again, trying to run any logic or control logic, I mean, you could have some type of ESP32 Arduino or something that fires off a relay, but why? It's not pin or it's not USB powered. This is a um, direct wire plug. This is a 110 PTC heater. If they had one of these that was 24 volt, that would be great, but it's going to pull a lot of power. This is going to pull power. This is a heater, right? Once again, this side's going to get VHB tape to the side of the printer. This side is your blower fan, so it's going to suck in this way, heat it up, blow it out the top. And once again, this is going to be on the opposite side from the Bento, so we're basically going to create one big convection oven with this. That around up top for now because I need to turn this around to set this inside. Keep trying to grab these wires, keep them out of the way. And so once again, what we're going to do is this needs to be connected. Put some VHB tape on this front face and VHB tape it in. Like I said, figure out about the right height. VHB tape it in. Bring the cable up, and it's going to run straight out the back there. Making sure that we keep it away from our whatchamacallit, the center lead screws and stuff. We can bring this straight up like that. I think that'll work really good right there. And we've got plenty of room. We're going to miss everything on the side of the bed. And we're basically mounting it right along the side of the fan here. So we just need to do like 2 small strips of VHB tape so that we can attach it. We don't want to do a ton of VHB tape because once again, then it becomes a pain in the butt to get off because it's going to be tight between this rear wall and the side fan here. So normally with VHB, if you twist, it will come off easy. Try and pull directly off. That's where all the strength is. So it's better if you twist when you're trying to take VHB tape off, but there is no room to mount this directly on the back. It's got to go on the side. And you can't put it right here because of the board, I don't think. Would it clear that? It will clear that calibration board. So you could technically run it here, in which case I would probably run it straight across the back here, but then you definitely need to tie it down if you're going to do something like this, where you'd mount it next to your bento box, rather than going up and out through your through the gap right here by the. So basically what we're doing is we're coming into that gap right there and running our cable down. If we were to mount it over on this side, beside the bento box, which is, it does fit there, right? Then we're going to have to be coming out through this hole here, which is going to be right by that lead screw. And that's kind of danger, especially since if this bed comes all the way down, that is going to hit it. You know, having a couple of really, really thin wires like that, it'll just push the wires down. It won't be a problem. But the way we're going to do that is we're going to mount that right there. Why not hook and loop tape? Good question. That good question. It very well could probably be done with hook and loop tape. I need to like wash my arm with Dawn Power Wash later tonight. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab my coffee before I forget it. So we got a Dunkin' run. So we are getting some Dunkin' coffee. The Chewy, don't fret. I am getting coffee. And hey, Royal Nomi, how's it going? Tech Jeeper, how's it going? So yeah, this is the Ember Prototypes mod. This is basically, I'm setting it up the same way that Ember Prototypes has. We've got a bento box on one side, and I know there's air filtration in here already. I get that, right? But the bento box is going to add even more. I'm going to run them both probably in conjunction with each other. Is that not? Oh. I'll run them both because the main one's going to run anyhow, and that one's way up here. We'll have this one as well. It's going to help both of them last a little bit longer probably. I do also, because the filter that's up here is, I believe, just a straight HEPA filter. I did get the Voxel PLA HEPA and charcoal filters as well. That I can run in here, or just leave this one using the straight bamboo ones for now and run the other ones in the other printer. I mean, it's 6 1/2 dozen the other. As far as using hook and loop tape, Thorpe, I hadn't thought about it, and I don't know if I have any, because I don't think command strips will hold up to the heat. And if I did regular hook and loop tape, I don't know if it will hold up to the heat, because once again, that is a PTC heater. This is going to get hot. This is going to get real hot. In fact, the first thing that we're going to print with this, I've got some PCCF already dried, and sitting on the floor back there, I'm drying some PC 612 CF, or shoot, PC PA 612 CF, because we're going to make a little duct. Because with the way this comes out right now, it's going to come out right up along the side of that panel, and I don't want to damage that panel. So I'm going to basically have a duct that kind of blows it in and underneath the bed, basically, just to keep it from damaging the side panel. Now, is this an aluminum side panel? I think they are, but sounds like they are. Feels like they are metal. So it may not have a warpage issue with that. But let me just cut like 2 small little strips of VHB tape, and we'll put that on. Because like I said, I'm just not sure if like if I do hook and loop tape, number one, I'm not sure where I have any. And then number two, I don't know if it will hold with the high temperatures we may see in that vicinity. So I'm not going to cut very much. I'm just going to cut short strips here. Not going to take much. Um, Now, if we run it through the Rainbird, so I do have a Rainbird, which is I think it was a Rainbird, maybe it's an Inkbird or something, some type of bird. But it's a thermostatic controller. Same type of thing. This would plug into that, and then the okay, got that. We got that. Round. And just for giggles, I want to plug this in. And it is working. I am feeling air being sucked in and heat coming out the top. So that is working. I probably should have tried it and made sure it worked before I installed it and plugged it in, or installed everything. So if you're doing that mod, maybe plug it in and make sure it works before you install it, because if it didn't work and it was dead out of the box, then that would suck. Um, so now we've got something else we need to do, and that's our Bento Box. So our Bento Box is, once again, it's 24 volt. It is using one of these connectors. Um, I will take the wires and add these to ferrules when I wire those in. And then the big question is where do I take these wires? Like, do I try and bring it out and run it with the, here, let me flip this around. So once again, these wires are coming out the bottom of the printer. We can bring them out and just kind of run them along the other connection, right? Or we can run them around the side. Don't know how best to do that, because I am going to have something sitting here to catch the poop. So I'm probably going to run these kind of out to the left like that. But we're going to cut, strip, and join these two together onto this sucker. And we can put a ferrule on it so it's nice and neat. You want to double check your plus and minus on this just to make sure they should be correct. Verify, right? God only knows where this came from. Verify that it is the correct wiring, please. Now, this printer currently sits at the end over here on the bench, and directly down the side from that is my whatchamacallit, my UPS, right? So that's probably going to be a good place to attach things to, is directly down there, and we'll just plug it into the UPS along with the printer. And I think that UPS is pretty much just Dragoon 1 and Dragoon 2. Now what I'm going to do is cut these to the same length. The reason they're different is because, remember, one's on the left, one's on the right. Yeah. So I'll cut this off to the same length, and I will have to strip back this, and we will add a ferrule to each one. So let me grab my ferrule kit, which is already over here. We'll have the ferrule. We'll have a multimeter that we'll grab here in a minute so that we can test that. But once again, we're going to wind up putting black and black and red together after we get these peeled apart and stripped. Strip these matte. Okay, so those are stripped. Now I could have very easily joined these to a larger wire, like some 20 gauge wire, and brought them out together, but this works just as well. And like I said, we're going to put these together, join them in holy matrimony, and we will put a ferrule on them. Uh-oh, Petty spilt her coffee. How's it going, Bearded Printer? Hope you're doing well. We are, I don't know, you can almost say voiding warranties, but not. We're adding a heater and a Bento Box to our X1 carbon. And I know you might sit there and go, well, why are you putting a Bento Box on it? It doesn't already have filtration. Yes. But we're going to add some more because once again, we're going to be working with some polycarbonate, some nylons, definitely some carbon fiber mixes in here. So we really want to make sure that we've got good filtration. So we're going to have the built-in filter as well as the Bento Box. And then to help us be able to print with those higher end plastics and engineering filaments, we're going to be leveraging a heater, and that's a 110 or 120, you know, the standard US voltage, mains voltage PTC heater. That is the same one that basically we're doing the mod that Ember Prototypes showed off. So that will give us the ability to do some engineering filaments a little bit easier. I do know that I printed some PET CF, or not PET CF, some PCCF on my printers, and it worked great. As soon as I got a different brand, it wouldn't work at all. So the only thing that I can think of, because same bed adhesion, same everything, is the lack of additional heated chamber. And so that's what this is really going to do, is try and give me another leg up on trying to print some of the engineering filaments. Now on this, before I go and wire everything up, I do want to do a quick polarity test. Every once in a while, you do get one of these that the polarity, it wasn't done upright, and so the negative is not the outer shield, it's the inner peg. And if you don't pay attention, you don't test things out, you will basically smoke things. And we don't want to smoke things, especially not with mains voltage. So we're just going to do a quick continuity check. And we're going to check the negative terminal with the outer edge. Always hard to try and got continuity of the outer edge, not to the inner terminal. I'm going to switch over to what it says is the positive. Do the inner terminal. Do the outer terminal. And we are good. We've got polarity is correct, and we don't have an issue. So that is always good to double check. Remember, folks, trust but verify. And I'm actually I'm curious to see. So everybody loves to go to Amazon, right? A lot of us go to AliExpress and get some things, and we still go to Amazon for a bunch of stuff as well. And I'm interested to see what happens, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but a lot of things that are on Amazon these days are actually stuff that people are buying off AliExpress and reselling, right? So I'm curious to see if tariffs do get implemented, if that changes. Not sure if it will, but I'm just curious to see if that changes, or if some of the pricing on Amazon will change drastically. Positive terminal will, of course, go to the red. Okay. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of a gap there, and you can't tell. So let me see if I can bring you guys over here, because I'm not going to be able to move this over there. Okay, this is all the way in, and there is a bit of a gap there. And that's worrisome, because that's a place where things can arc, especially if anything gets on it that is um, conductive. So if I can get my camera to stay and work with me here, what I'm going to do is when you do your ferrules, there's like segments to your ferrules. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the last segment of the ferrule. Okay. Not going to wind up being much. Very little bit right there. But by doing that, that connector is now going to fit all the way in and fit snugly. And when I do this, I get it lined up, and you'll see me put my finger over it. And that's so that little tiny piece doesn't go flying off, and I can take that little piece of metal and put it in the garbage. Because if you don't put it in the garbage and it goes flying off somewhere, once again, you now have a piece of metal that you're either going to, one, step on, or two, it could get into something, especially if you're doing a big wiring project like a printer, and cause a short. Hey, Pez how's it going? So that's in there now. It's fully seated in there. We don't have a chance of getting an arc out of there, or we've got a lot less of a chance of getting an arc. Do the same thing with our negative, where it's also pushed all the way in there. And there's our connection for our fan. This one seems like it pulled out a little bit more, so let me loosen that up, make sure it's fully pushed in there. Yeah. So if since a lot of people are just reselling stuff on Amazon, that's my thing is it's going to be interesting if tariffs do go on. You're going to see a lot of stuff dry up on Amazon where people are just reselling stuff. Okay, so we've got our connector for the um, heater. We've got the connector for the Bento Box fan. And once again, once we connect this in, that means that both of these are going to be always on unless we put them into like a um here. You see that uh strip down there? That is a Kasa multi-outlet strip, and I can turn each one of those on and off using an app or via a command with your home assistant, right? Pick a home assistant. In my case, that is tied in with Amazon. So it would be that name that we would use. And I could turn it on or off. Like right now, I could say, Alexa, studio light 10%. And my LED lights are now 10. Alexa, studio light blue. I don't think I. Alexa, studio light maximum. So I can go through the app and change the color because they are RGB. But I just didn't set up a command to change the colors through the thing. Yes. Like she went to college. Oh God, bearded printer. Yeah, and I've also got it set up where I say a certain command, and when I say command, a phrase, and it turns the lights off up here, and the stair going downstairs from here is also on the same uh, phrase or the same commands. So I say that command, and it just shuts it off. And the nice thing is, I've got Alexas throughout the house, so I can just tell her in whatever room I'm in, and it'll shut the lights off. So if I'm downstairs, realize, crap, it's 1 o'clock, I can just tell her to shut the light off and not leave the lights on. But yeah, so once again, there's with this being a bamboo, I do not have a way of tying this in to relays and managing these through relays with the bamboo. I can plug these into smart plugs and I can then turn the smart plugs on and off. Um, I can just leave the bento box running all the time and plug the heater into a Inkbird, which has a temperature probe. So we would run a temperature probe in here somewhere, route it back down and out of the case and down to this device, and this gets plugged in. And you plug in this outlet into this, and this will temperature control. It'll turn it on and off between the set temps that you set up in the software. Now, this is the way Ember Prototypes originally set it up, and he said that he has changed it since then to just using a smart outlet and just turning it on or off. And normally he turns it on and it runs for 6 hours and then automatically shuts off. I kind of like the idea of having a temperature-based probe that does that. And if we had full access to the clipper on this, we could just set the host and clipper up to manage said chamber temp and basically just fire off a relay on or off, like an SSR, on or off, on or off, and we would be done. But we don't have that set up here. So we've still got to figure out a way. So it's either I'm going to set this up or I'm just going to plug it into a smart outlet, turn it on and off as I need to. But for now, this part is physically done. The mod has been done. It's more of working out how I want to turn these two functions on or off because I don't necessarily need it all the time, right? Um, so I've got to figure out and make some other decisions on how I want to turn these things on and off. Um, but that particular mod now is in essence done. I'm probably I'm thinking I really want to do this. This should have, like I said, it should have a thermistor, thermocouple, something like that. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So there's your thermistor. You would just put this in there and hold it down with Captain Tape. Once again, route the cable out through the back. I could probably fish that through without having to take all of the, just probably take the lower screws back out, and I can fish this through. Looks like a microphone jack, and that plugs into side of that outlet. And once again, you set your settings directly on the device, and so there's your leash for how long you can make this. Um, so the issue with the Panda Power is it uses a standard outlet. It's basically an inline outlet. I don't know if it would work on this. I I, I was thinking about that as well. Let me see. BQ Panda Power. So the Panda Power, let me pull this up real fast. So this is the concern. So this is the outlet. So this is designed to go into the back side of your printer. And the other side is the inlet. So this is basically a pass through for your IEC, what is it? IEC 14, whatever. It's one of, it's a standard CPU or printer power plug. It won't take anything else. So I'm sure there could be other things that are there. Once again, if we had access to the clipper here, then we could do, we could just run separate relays. And the Panda Power is, where is, yeah, so there's the USB. How does this exactly work? They control your power. It enables you to set a local timer, remote wireless control, real-time energy monitoring. Yes, yes. Um, multi-printer power control. That's more like the app. I don't see you plugging multiple. Yeah, you'd have each one of these on an app, and then you could turn them on or off via the app on your phone. Wi-Fi enabled. Um, I am sure that there is a way, right? Um, yeah, this the Panda Power itself does not know how to turn the power off at the end of a print without getting some type of command. So that's where if you've got auto print shut off, it's got to be tied in with the Panda Touch. And I'm not running Panda Touch. It has to be something external to Bamboo because Bamboo doesn't have that capability. Um, so yeah, real-time monitoring, optimize your print costs, transform your farm with advanced monitoring of power usage. Yes, yes. Equipping each printer with a Panda Power, a single Panda Touch can manage the power of up to 10 printers, significantly streamlining your power management with the added touch of convenience. Firmware compatibility, Panda Touch firmware versions 1.05 and higher are compatible with Panda Power, enabling advanced power management for the P1, X1, A1 series of printers. So you're still stuck there, and then your USB controllable, so you can control two USB things as well. Um, but yeah, you'd have to have a Panda Touch. Now, I want to say that there's also, where have I seen it? Um, I can't remember which site I've seen it on. I think it's either West 3D or maybe 3D. And as soon as I see a picture of it, I'll know exactly what I'm looking at. It's basically um, it's a multi-outlet. Um, God, words. It's basically a multi-outlet uh, power strip that has a relay built into it that you can trigger. So it's a controllable power strip, basically. Obviously, it's not there. Oh, dang. Not sure where I'm going to find it. There we go. This right here is basically what we're looking at. Seriously? How do I get a caption going? X, Y, E, N, N, F. Yes, the IoT relay. So works with Arduino, Raspberry Pi, PIC or Wi-Fi relay shield. So this enables you to control. It has surge suppression, C13 inlet, 4 outlets, and it allows you to basically set up. Yeah, you can set up and control this and basically relay them on or off. So this might be something. Yes, you would probably still have to plug in an Arduino or something to be able to send the signal for the relay. But this is an option that I've seen people use to basically turn on printers or accessories. So use a Z-Wave controllable power plug to be able to, yeah, yeah. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back and I'll show you what I would probably wind up doing. Okay. Sorry about that. I went ahead and muted you when I was downstairs because you guys didn't want to hear the dryer going. So what I could do is either these are TP-Link Kasa plugs. Whoop, guess it helps if I, these are TP-Link Kasa plugs. These are the individual plugs, or you have the full strip. So I could take and plug these in and then plug the outlet for the Bento Box in. And then all I have to do is do a command whenever I'm going to be doing a high temp engineering print. And what I can do is I can turn those both on ahead of the print before I even start the print. See, that's the thing is if you start a print, um, there's no preheat on here unless you manually go in and turn the heater on, right, ahead of time. And I'm not sure if there's a, oh, we're in an ad break. I don't know if the Bambu printers, because well, I've never looked into it really. Do the Bambu printers do like an auto shutdown if you turn the heater on and you don't like start a print real soon? Does it like do the thermal timeout? Because Borons will do that after a certain period of time, and I'm sure that the Bambus would as well. That's a pretty decent length of cable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to snake this up, and I want to bring this basically right up and mount it across the top of the printer somewhere up higher, so it's not right in direct um, line of the heated air. Because once again, the heater's right here, so the heater's right here. The Bento Box is here. So it's basically doing an airflow along the back side of the printer, not necessarily at the front side. So it would be really great if there was a way that I could run this. Um, Probably really not a good place to put that. So that might be an interesting thing is to trying to decide where I want to put that um, thermocouple, or I just get away from this altogether, just do it through the managed plug, use this for another project down the road, and basically it's just either on or off. I can turn it on to set up for a print and let things heat up for a little bit and then get it started because you do have a chamber thermistor on the Bamboo. I don't know how good it is. And I won't know until I get this thing closed up and start trying to pump some heat into it. Yeah, there should be some type of timeout by default. So in case you turn a heater on and walk away and forget it. Now, I will tell you that I've had a print that is, I'll say, stopped, if that makes sense, for whatever reason, either filament run out or it thinks it detected a print failure in the form of, um, oh, what am I thinking of? Spaghetti. And it drops the hot end temperature, but it keeps the bed temperature going in that state, right? So I would assume that you could possibly turn the bed heater on, but I don't know if it's going to drop it down if it was up at like some higher temperature, basically. Um, so I don't know how all of that would necessarily work. But I think what I'm going to do is just tie these into either a um, uh, a smart outlet and then just turn them on via the smart outlet when I'm going to print and then turn them off when I'm done. So I'll have to put some type of "Hey idiot" sign up for myself. Exactly. And ESP32, Zigbee relays, stuff like that. There's ways that you can use those, and that's basically what this is it's a wireless or relay. So in essence, even if you're plugging in a Raspberry Pi to it, you're going over GPIO pins to trigger the relay to turn it on and off, right? You can do the same thing by just buying a couple of relays and triggering relays, showing you stuff that you can. So, the options that we have, we can run the Inkbird, but it's either on or off and it's running the temperature that we're setting. So when I'm done with the print, I still have to shut this off. Otherwise, it's going to continue to cycle. Okay. Um, if I want controllability, I can plug both of them into, say, a smart outlet like this, and then I can control each one separately or put them under the same command and either do it through an app or use my home assistant device to turn these on or off based on when I need them for a print job. The other option would be, you could set up a Raspberry Pi and trigger a couple of just straight relays. And I've got relays here. So you can just trigger a relay using a Raspberry Pi and do the same type of thing. Or you've got this IoT relay device um, that you would still need a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino to trigger, right? So it's and thanks for the follow, Sharp to Smoke. Welcome on in, Sharp to Smoke. Welcome on in. Oh, neat, Nick. Yeah, like there are ways that we could probably plug it in and tie it into other things. Um, Nick, that's the thing is I don't know. If this was a boron, right? I've got a bento box on my Trident. I could add a chamber heater on my Trident, and there are 15 ways to Sunday that I can trigger both of those devices. Why? Because I've got a Raspberry Pi and a MCU that I have full control over. This I don't have full control over, right? This is a BambuLab. And the mods that I'm making to it, I'm specifically making them this way. And yeah, it could be like, oh, well, you could do this or you could do that, and you can have full control from the interface. Well, that's great. I've now modded this in such a way that they can tell, one, and two, um, it voids the warranty. Here, the only thing I've done is taken the back panel off and routed a cable through. I haven't done anything to this. I haven't messed with their electronics. I have not messed with their firmware in any way, shape, or form. So there should be nothing that I have just done that voids the warranty, right? Um, so yeah, that was one of the things that I liked about this particular setup for the bamboo is literally I did not put oh okay. I didn't put that screw back in, so I had enough room to run this cable out underneath the back panel. That's it. The only thing that I haven't done. And there's enough oil canning in here when I was taking all the screws out that, that's perfectly fine. In fact, hell, I could probably put that screw back in and still be fine, right? It's so everything that I have done here is 100% can be backed out and returned to stock if I need to ship this off to Bamboo for any type of service or maintenance. That while that screw went in, that is not where that's actually the screw that goes down here at the bottom. So that's the thing here is everything that we've done so far can be reversed out. This can be turned back into stock at any point if I decide to get rid of this printer and sell it, or if I need to ship it back to the factory for any type of service or maintenance. So, hey Westery One, how's it going? How's it going? Hey Westery, like, I'm not going to toot my horn or anything, but this is what a printer looks like that hasn't had mud in it. You know, just saying. Just saying. No, what we've done here, um, this is our darn it. This is the X1 carbon that we've been playing around with. The we've added a bento box, and that bento box, the wiring for it just kind of runs straight down the printer, or straight down the back side of the printer at the bottom and goes out through a hole in the bottom. And that hole is basically just an extra screw hole that goes down at the bottom, and it's out of the way. The bento box itself, which is an air cleaner type setup, right? It's a HEPA filter with carbon and some 4020 or 4028 fans. And that is sitting right over here. Okay, so it sucks the air in from the top and it comes out the bottom chute down here. So it pulls it through a HEPA filter and then through activated carbon. That's going to really scrub the air. The little filter that they have up here, right here, doesn't really do much. Right now, it's just a standard HEPA filter. There's zero charcoal. So the HEPA filter is going to grab some of the VOCs, but depending on which grade, it's not going to get them all, and it does nothing to get the smell. That's what the charcoal is doing, is getting the smell out. Then the other thing we did is over on this side. Oh, and the wiring for that comes right down here along the bottom and then goes out through the hole right there. Okay. And then this is the heater that we just put in, and it's a 110 heater. So it comes up and goes right through the back of the printer there and down and out the back side of the printer. And we just kind of, the back covers just kind of bowed a little bit to let that come out the back side of the printer. And so altogether, here's 2 extra cables coming out. This one's going to be plugged in for the, whoops, darn it, where am I going here? Okay, this one is the plug-in for the fan, and then this one is the plug-in for the PTC heater. Hardy har har. Yep, yep. So we added a bento box and we added the heater. Now what we've been talking about is how do we control those two things, right? We can't control them directly from Bambu. We just can't, right? So how do we turn those off? How do we turn those on? Because right now we plug them in and they just start working. They're always on. Um, so what we're looking at doing is how do we control those, right? And in fact, right now we turn that on and this heater has zero regulation. It just goes, right? Which is bad. So I just thought about that. One way or the other, this is going to have to be installed so that it cycles and we don't overshoot a chamber temp and get it too hot in the chamber when we're printing. So we need some type of thermocouple control. So we will have to install this thermocouple as a chamber sensor and just figure out a good place to put it where it's out of the way and not getting hit by anything. And it literally, we can come in through here, or we might be able to come sneak right around the corner and just Kapton tape it to the bottom somewhere. Depending on how long that is, because basically we have a big wall wart controller for this that's going to basically do bang bang. I don't think it's really PID. I think it's just going to be bang bang, either going to be on or off, and it'll cycle it to keep whatever temperature we want in the chamber. Okay. I think it's going to be a parts machine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And what we can do is, this is the thermocouple for it. So this will go somewhere on the inside of the machine. This will go to the outside and connect in with this wall wart. So this can't be too far away, or we won't be able to plug everything in. But that means I am gonna wind up, because that's the thing I was just thinking of, is if I don't put a thermal control in here, then that heater just goes full tilt always, the whole time it's plugged in. And I really need it to regulate the temp and not go full tilt the whole time. So I am going to have to feed this around. Now this printer, this is the Dragoon 1. So what we did on this the first time was all up here in the tool head. And what we've got in the tool head is the Panda Jet, excuse me, the Panda Jet pack, which I can't get off there because I had the bed all the way up. But it's the pretty shroud and uh, the four-way fan. So the air's coming in to the hot end from 4 points rather than just the two sides. Right? So it's coming in at all 4 points. That gives you better cooling. We also replaced the extruder housing, the plastic extruder housing got replaced with the BQ Panda extruder, which is a CNC aluminum skeletonized housing. Since we had that apart, we also replaced the gears with the Panda Claw all metal gears. And that replaces the big, so the big drive gear that goes from the extruder to the actual filament gears is normally like that plastic injection palm. This is now all metal. Okay. Nano coated, hardened metal. So it's going to last even longer. So the improvements that we made here is for a thermal environment and abrasive. Because once again, a plastic palm gear, when we start adding chamber heat and everything, is going to deteriorate faster. So we're looking for higher thermal properties within the printer itself. This front case is nylon. I don't think I'll have an issue with the rest of the bamboo case, but we'll see. And it's not like I'm going to do nothing but PC and nylon and upper echelon engineering materials with it. I will be printing regular stuff. I'm going to have this to be able to do polycarbonate and nylon more reliably. Okay. So I do have to take at least part of the rear panel off of this so that, and I'm just going to undo the bottom. I think that's all I really need to undo to be able to fish that other cable through. And once again, this is just going to be the cable for um, the thermocouple so that the Inkbird will be able to basically turn it on and off. Once again, we're going to set the high-low range for the temp and what we're going to do is set what temperature we want to be able, or what we want it to hold, and the threshold up and down that it can go. And that will let it do its adjustment as necessary. And we're going to route this the same way, which is right down at the bottom side of the hoop chute. We're just going to push this through, and we'll be able to grab that cable and pull it out with the other one, eventually. Nope, not that one. Where going here? There it is. Yeah, so in essence, what I have just done is added a chamber heater to this printer. That is exactly what I have just done here, is added a chamber heater to this printer. So we've now got a chamber heater and a bento box that'll provide additional filtration as well as air circulation for the printer. And that will allow me, because today I have done, I have printed PC and PCCF in this printer. It does print well on the engineering plate, but you do have to use some type of bed adhesion, and you're still going to be dealing with a wide brim so you can counteract any warping, right? That's the biggest thing, is when you're done printing, how much warping do you wind up getting? Um, and some of these materials you're talking, PLA you can get for $16, $17 a roll. Nylon and PC, you're talking more like $70, $80 a roll to get a good quality one. And you don't want to be messing that stuff up. So having, or not necessarily messing it up, but having print failures when you're printing that because of warping, right? So having a chamber temperature or a chamber heater that you can uh, cycle down and let the part cool off, because once again, the chamber heater is going to be set at, you know, 60 or something like that, right? It's not going to be set at 120. Your bed is going to be at 120 while you're printing, but leaving that chamber at 60, even after the print's done, it's going to allow it to cool down a lot slower. And that's the issue, is because when it cools down faster, that's where you wind up getting warping from. So you want your parts to cool and cool slower, because you'll have less chance of warping of the plastic as it chills. And thank you for the 200 bits. Print and Play Keela's Way. How's it going? Welcome on in. Keela is the better half of Lemery 3D, and she has just started streaming on Twitch. And obviously, her channel is Print and Play Keela's Way. And she just recently made affiliate even. So, yeah. So as you can see, we've got, what I did was I pulled this through so it's about a little bit longer than the plug, or right thereabouts, because once again, this is going into the side and this is plugging in to the little controller here. Okay. So the plug plugs in here, and this has to plug into the side up here. So as long as they're about the same length, they're going to make it, and they're going to be plugged in, right? So that now gives me a decent amount of length that I can work with, and I'll be able to bring this maybe down and across the front, or around the back, or yeah, all the way around the side here of the printer, and maybe even have it down at the bottom front, or bring it down past the heater itself. Once again, just routing things down and around, do a little zip tie here and there. And I can just bring it around and leave it right down here at the bottom of the printer. Because once again, this is going to be blowing up with the heat, and this is going to be sucking down and then blowing back out. So if I bring this over here and maybe put some capped on tape and hold it kind of down here at the bottom at the front, this is going to be the coldest place in this printer, because the hot air is going up the back side, getting sucked back down the back on the other side. This is going to be the coldest place because heat travels up. So it's got to soak through the whole printer and back down to the front. Right? So that's one of the things to think of too, is where are you going to put your sensors so that, one, they're out of the way and you're not going to bind or catch on the printer, anything moving in the printer. and it's still going to give you an accurate or semi-accurate reading. Like we can bring this up and maybe put some Captain tape right there, and once again over here, because I don't think it's ever going to get that close. And that way, now we're at the front top area of the print, and we've routed down and around the side, so we're not going to catch anywhere, right? So that's what we're looking for, is staying away from any pass where it can be caught up at, and then finding a good place where we can put the printer. Once again, getting a heat, monitoring the chamber heat down here and running this heater based off of a chamber temp down here where we know it's going to be the coldest might not necessarily be the best either. Having it up in the front and somewhat near the top is probably going to be better because we're printing up at this level, not down here. So I probably will set this up here, take some Kapton tape, run it right down this cable to keep it down and on the side there and out of the way. And I think that'll probably be the best thing, is to just run some Kapton tape right down the side there, and that will hold that in place and be good. So then once again, I can go and put this back on the line and keep printing with it, because nothing I've done changes anything until I plug that in and that end and put it on some type of managed circuit like smart outlets. Right? These are just two different Kasa Smart Outlets. They connect wirelessly to your network, and then you can control these using the Kasa app, or it can tie in with the Amazon ecosystem. So I've got these all over the house. So I'm going to repurpose these because they have been tied in before. I just need to know what the heck they are so I can rename them and set up a new command for them. So Jeremy's working on a video for the Panda Revo for the X1C. You're having a lot of issues with two of the AMS slots not working. Now, are you talking about a video to install the Panda Revo then? And you're having two issues, or you're having issues with two of the AMS slots not working. What is the AMS doing, Keela? And while we have that conversation, I'm going to clean myself up because I've got grease from the lead screws all over me. I will attempt to clean myself up. Once again, I am not going to be a proponent of using isopropyl alcohol on your skin. I mean, yes, it will clean stuff off of your skin, but it's also going to dry it out. So just be aware. And also to prove to you all, so none of the cables that we have installed are plugged in, right? You see that the outlets were sitting right here. None of this stuff has been plugged in. I will plug this printer back in. And show you that it doesn't bark and complain. Doesn't have the AMS connected, but it's fine. It won't care. You already replaced the feeder in one. It worked for a while. Now it's acting up again. It goes to feed, then gets jammed and won't pull anymore, and it's hard to get out. So it's the feeder at the front, the top front. and you've replaced that whole mechanism. Is it with a specific filament or any filament? Hey, Shenanigans, how's it going? Shenanigans, you'll probably like this. So what we've been working on today is we installed a Bento Box, which is a two-stage filter. So the top stage up here is a HEPA filter. The lower stage, which is this stage right here, is activated carbon. This next stage here is the fans, and it's pulling air down from the top through the HEPA, through the carbon, and then exits out the bottom. Then on this side, we've got a heater. So this is now going to be a chamber heater that is either on or off, and it's got a controller that's regulated by the thermocouple here that we're going to install. I think I'm going to just run that straight up this edge here with some capped on tape so that it's more up here towards the top. But with the way the circulation is, it's going to come up the top and then back down the other side. These wires come right down the rear here and out through a hole right here at the bottom. And then the wire for this comes up and down through the back there, and down through the back panel. So we'll now have a heater and some additional convection movement in here to heat this chamber up so that we can run polycarbonate, nylon, carbon fiber versions of those. And when I say polycarbonate, I mean even straight polycarbonate in here, and have a better chance of getting successful. Kitty has two temperature sensors, one in the chamber for target temp and a second one in the duct coming out from the heater. The one in the duct is a kill switch. It turns the printer off, gets above 120 or something like that. Use markers marked all. Use markers marked with a round ice cube in a highball glass. Or wait, oh, I got you. You're talking about some other mixture, right, Westery? Yeah. In that case, you pour 2 fingers, right? Just pour 2 fingers in a glass. You don't need ice. You don't need to water it down. You replace it in one slot, and it's any that you've tried. And are you running the standard stock PTFE tube, or are you running cap tube? What are you running for the PTFE tubes? Because I'm wondering if it's too hard to push through the PTFE tube. Yeah, so Shenanigans, this particular printer we've done a lot to. On the last stream, everything that we were doing, in fact, let me see. Let me home the printer and then I can drop the bed a little bit. And we'll take a look at some of the other things. And I want to put a zip tie around these two on the back, which ought to be fun. I really need to make sure that these two are together and pulls along the back. Okay, so that's there. That's there. Now let's drop this. Okay, so that's sort of kind of caught there. So I need to put one of my tie things back here and tie it down, or maybe put some Kapton tape to hold that along the back panel so it's a little bit further out of the way. But the other stuff that we did on this was, I wish there was, is there a way to disable motors? Don't think so. Okay, so we're going to take the front cover off, which may make it scream. But we've got a Panda Jet, or excuse me, the Panda Jet Pack. So the Panda Jet is just the lower part here with the four-way fan. The Jet Pack has the full skeletonized piece. We've also replaced the extruder with the metal BQ Panda extruder. And it might be harder to tell, but the gears here are all metal. So these are the Panda Claw gears, which are all metal, all aluminum. The hot end here is a Fadus Conch Plus. So it's got a silicon carbide tip and an encoded filament path. So throat and heat break is encoded. So basically what we did here was to enable a more thermally resistant and abrasion resistant filament path all the way through here so that we can print things like pure polycarbonate, our PA612 CF nylons, regular nylons, and other stuff like that. I need to add a duct here that will push this air away from the side panel and more angle it into the print chamber. And that's going to be printed in polycarbonate, either some PCCF or some PA612CF. Thanks for the lurk, Westery. Hope that means you're going to feed the horses or something. Um, yeah, so Keela, on your AMS, are you still running the stock PTFE tube? So yeah, this basically has all the hookup at the hot end. Then we just added the heater on the left side, the Bento Box on the right. It's going to create a nice, good convection oven in here. Once I put the door back on, we've also got the Panda Lux, which is that nice, pretty light, so it's very bright in there. Like, you can almost tell it looks like I might be tan, and then I'm like albino white there. So you're running the stock PTFE tube. Yeah, you might want to change the tubes and put some new tubes. How old is the AMS? Well, here's the thing: is the RGB mod. So this is running the straight white light because the LED. So basically, you have to unplug this LED to run this LED, and it's a two wire. So it's just on or off white. There's no RGB control signal going back to the controller board. If I wanted to run RGB in here, I'd have to do separate. And normally what people do is they put some type of riser on. I've actually seen a riser that's got a sliding shelf so that it raises up the glass panel and you can slide the glass panel back and forth on it, which is kind of neat, but there's an option to put lights in that. But anything you do like that, you're going to be running a Raspberry Pi or something to run that. It can even be a straight ESP32, but it's going to be separately run and separately managed. Um, had it a year and a half. I mean, quite possible. It is quite possible. Like I have literally run um, CF filaments, like I think ASA and ABS CF filaments through my AMS. Now, it's doable. You're going to you're going to wear things a lot faster if you do it, right? The gears in the AMS drives are not made to take that wear and tear. That's why anytime you're running a CF filament, you should be running it off the back, which is only going through PTFE and then through your extruders, which even the bamboo extruder is hardened gears, right? So what the Panda Claw is getting you is the idler bar is now metal and the large drive gear on the extruder is all metal, right? Um, so this just adds a longer wear life to a lot of things in the hot end now. So replace the feeder unit after you, oh, okay. Yeah. So glow in the dark, white, luminous, and wood are destructive on non-hardened gears, PTFE tube, and stuff like that. Um, People don't think about white. White has to have a lot of titanium in the formulation to get that bright white. And that's why if you run a ton of white, you will destroy things fast. Um, Wood, because of the filler in wood, because of the fillers in luminous filament and glow in the dark filament, it will destroy your stuff faster. It will wear out your hot ends faster if you're running non-hardened hot. Um, and yeah, once again, those tubes are consumables. Like I just saw, I can't remember her name, so I'm just going to open Instagram real fast. She's probably going to be, um, Kathy Lee, Katie Lee. I say that, no, I'm not seeing. No, no. Anyhow, like I said, I think it's like Kathy Lee, Katie Lee, something like that on Instagram. Just had a post literally today um, about her PTFE tubes blowing out in the AMS. You know, they're consumable. You get a lot of people that complain about, well, the PTFE tubes went bad. Yeah, it's consumable. They go bad. Like very few times have I had to ever replace one in my Vorons, but I'm pretty sure the PTFE tubes inside a box turtle are going to have to be replaced a lot more than the ones going in the back, right? Because they're tighter bend radius. And you're going to have a cut, sharp edge of filament that's going to hit a side and it's going to dig in some before it gets pushed around, right? It's it's just the way it happens. So keep sets of PTFE tube or PTFE tube that you can cut to the proper lengths and roll your own. But you know, Capricorn Tubes makes pre-made sets for the AMS for that reason. Um, And some people, you just don't think about it, on the even the tubes from the back of my box turtles into my tool heads on the Trident and the 2.4 here. They're a meter long. They're a meter long, which means filament's having to run that full path around, and it's probably going to need to be replaced more often than it would have, because it's just a longer filament path. And with doing filament changes, it's going to have a tip pushing through that constantly. Once the tip gets through, it's just you've got a round surface, a cylindrical surface going through it. It's not going to mess it up that much. Um, um, Teslas and Zombie can probably tell you a little bit more about that. I don't use a lot of matte filament, right? I don't, and I think you've got some of the um like the celestial matte rainbow filament and stuff lately, haven't you, Keela? If I remember right. Um, but yeah, and protopasta. Protopasta is some rough filament. Oh my God, that filament is rough. Like I've run it a couple of times and I just stopped running it just because it feels so rough. And I'm worried that it's going to be tearing up things. Yeah, I know she's over on Instagram. It's not Karen Chung, but I think it's like Katie Lee. Actually, like I think that's who it is. Why don't I don't know, use that thing called search and do Katie Lee. Yeah, that's like such a common name, I guess. And you gotta be careful doing searches for things like that. All kinds of stuff will come up. But she is a 3D printer. I see her on Instagram, and if I could find her, I would follow her. Following. Like pro streamer that doesn't know how to use socials apparently. Like, hey, following her, so go look at your people you're following. You'll probably be able to find her that way. Um, I think I'm following. Hope I'm following her. Um, 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 um. Okay, apparently I'm like smoking crack or something, or I just can't find her. But I'm pretty sure it was like Katie Lee. I may be mistaken. I will find her and I will ping her your way. Like I said, she just had a video up on Instagram where she had blown out the PT and they were like split in half pretty much the full way. So just take a look. You may have to go in and clean up some stuff and replace some stuff. But that's the only other thing I can think of. Like, I doubt if you would get two different or too bad motors. It's just I don't see them sending out too bad motors or having too bad motors. So I'm wondering if it's just getting more um, like restriction in the or a higher friction in the PTFE tubes because there's starting to be some wear, and that's causing you some issues. I don't know. I can't find it, so I'll just stop and pay attention to my own stream now. Yeah, blow your enemies is the best. I agree. I agree. It is. Yeah, Polyterra is a matte filament. That is true. Oh no, Pez Liz. So Pez, you print with a lot of Polyterra and stuff. Have you seen a lot of like more damage on your PTFE tubes and stuff? What do you think of this one? Yeah, they can be a bit abrasive. That's true. Once again, this is a red. This is not zombies. This is a red that I should not have in North America. This is one that I got from Chewy. This is Bearded Printers. It's the 20-sided die. And I still need to join his things at the commercial before I do this. I just was printing this to make sure it could print out. But this is going to be a levitating 20-sided die. And I'm going to take it to my local gaming store because on the 26th, actually the 25th and 26th, they're doing their Raven Fest. It's Raven Forge Games. They're doing their Raven Fest. And I'm going to print one of these and give it to them for their raffle. Since it's all tabletop gaming and stuff. Yeah, Chewy, that's exactly what this is. This is the Sorcerer's Red. Polymaker PLA Sorcerer's Red, which was only supposed to be down under. Because it was a limited run that came out with a gaming thing down under. So really pretty red. It's got a little bit of shiny and flake to it, but it came out really, really well. I figured that would be a good color to put with that. But yeah, hopefully Zombies Red comes out soon because I think I put like 2 or 4 spools of it on pre-order, which is going to be great because I've got a full case of Epax filament downstairs, and I just got a full, or I say a full case, 10 spools of Elegoo Gray because I'm going to use those to print things I'm going to be paintings. Um, you're printing a braided basket with it now. First print. Oh, nice. Yeah, baskets are really, really cool. All kinds of baskets, all kinds of storage stuff. You do have some issues with Polyterra? Okay. Um, Silks can have issues sometimes as well, just because they're they're shiny and they're slick. The one you can have a lot of heat creep issues with longer prints in silk, but you can also have a lot of issues with um, just extruder issues because it's so slick, or it's a lot slicker. You may have to adjust um your E steps a little bit or your flow rates when you're dealing with some of the shinier um, silks. At least I've found that. Otherwise, you under extrude a little bit. So yeah, we've now proven that we haven't done anything that affects. I'm like, what is going on here? We haven't done anything that affects the use of the printer because nothing else is plugged in right now, and we're not getting anything, negative. Everything that we've done and added to this printer today, being the Bento Box and the heater, are 100% separate from the bamboo interface. And the thing about that that's nice is I can turn on the heater and the Bento Box to allow that greater circulation and heat the chamber up before even bringing over the polycarbonate or the PA12. Like the polycarbonate, I put some fresh um, stuff in here and dried this, and you're seeing I'm down at 14%. I can take this polycarbonate CF, bring it out in the large tube, pop the back off, plug it straight in, and now I can run this directly through into there and just spool it right off of this so it stays in the dry box the whole time. But to get especially if I'm doing a large part or a part with a large flat bottom, that's where you have the biggest chance of things warping is on a large flat bottom, right? So you heat your chamber up first and get that kind of stabilized. Then you can heat up and start the print once you start getting close because the bed's got to heat up and stuff like that. And you'll have a better print. And then once again, you print, the bed shuts off, the hot end shuts off, but you still have your chamber at temp and say it's sitting at 60C. So it's going to keep it from coming all the way down to like 30C at the edges as fast. And it's going to help cool it down at a slower rate, which will help prevent the warp because 9 times out of 10, you're going to warp at the end of a print as the outside of a larger print cools quicker than the inside. And then I will say the other thing that we've been working on, or not we, but I have been working on, and let me see if I can pick this up without dropping it. Okay. The chain sword. Now, nothing right here is connected. These are just the covers that are sitting on the side of it. But this is a working chain sword mechanism. So 400 millimeter carbon rods that go from here out to the end and from here to this end. There will be some 200 millimeter carbon rods out here to support the handle. It's being run by a 12 volt, 260 RPM worm drive gearbox here, 12-volt motor. It's going to be running off of I want to say they're 18360 batteries. And there will be, this is a functioning chain sword. Of course, it's a plastic chain. It's all printed in PLA. The reason this isn't more together is there's a 6 millimeter all thread rod that goes right down the center of it that you use to tension your your chain once you get everything assembled. Excuse me. Sorry, I had my hands full and couldn't hit mute. But yeah, this part is, I was sitting here putting this together watching the football games the other night. I'm getting close. Once I get my all thread, which should be coming in here soonish. Thank you, Keela. Then I'll be able to put this together, get the belt semi-tensioned on here, and test the motor. I want to test the motor before I go any further and make sure that I'm good. And then I will continue to build up the mechanism, get that fully done, and then it will be starting to print or paint these. Now, once again, I like the texture. Put that down. So most of these panels have a texture here in the center because it was on the plate, and then these edges will be regular because they were floating off the edge of the plate. This panel here, though, because of the indentation here, it was printed vertically. I'm going to take this off the pre-sliced beds, set it down facing. Yes, this will get, I'll say, some crudiness from the support, and I can fill and sand that out, but that will give me that texture along this face of it and continue that look. And I want to keep that look for the aesthetic of the overall chainsaw, because once again, see that texture down the middle? It is going to be a different color. It will be highlighted. So I like that aesthetic, and I want to keep that aesthetic on that. And this is the Warhammer 40,000 chainsword from Galactic Armory. So yeah, this is looking real nice so far. Once again, we've got the, the chain for it. So got all that prepped and ready. We're just basically waiting on that last part to get here so I can cut it down and put that in place. And then I can start making some more progress. I've ordered actual Citadel paints, which is what's used by a lot of people for their Warhammer stuff. So I got some rattle can because these are going to be some big parts, because I have the chain sword. I have a bolter pistol, and I have a storm bolter. So a bolter pistol is one magazine, one barrel. A storm barrel is dual magazines and dual barrel. So it's kind of like the more elite of the weapons. And I think I'm just going to go through and do a whole bunch of those prop weapons. Because once again, those I'll be taking to shows and showing off. Part of the print, print business side of things. Yes. Yeah, the chain's going to look really cool. Chain is going to look really good. And I'm going to make it show wear, but I'm not going to try and do like any blood and gore on it, because as that creator stated, anybody in the military, if you're in battle, things are going to get gunked up. But as soon as you have downtime, the first thing you do is clean your weapons. Armor can wait, because unless your armor's like seriously broken, or like if you got body armor and you took 4 or 5 rounds, you might want to replace parts of that. Because its effectiveness goes down. But the first thing you always do is at least field strip and clean that weapon to make sure that it works when you need it to. And there you go, Nick. Yes, my chain sword for business. Yes, these are things that I'm printing that I will have on display that will show my ability to print and print larger things. Yeah. So they are going to be business expenses. So, yep. Yeah, sharp to smoke. Exactly. Um, I am an Air Force veteran, so I can say been there, done that. So that's kind of where I'm at tonight. I have some decisions to make, and the decisions aren't whether I use these two items, it's how I'm going to use these two items. So once again, this will be for the bento box. It's either on or it's off. This will be for the heater. Now, standard day-to-day operations, neither the heater nor the bento box are going to be used. The heater and bento box are going to be used when I'm dealing with nylon or polycarbonate, whether they're reinforced with carbon fiber, um, uh, uh, glass fiber, or whatever, right? If it's straight polycarbonate, that's even worse. That takes even higher temps. But this will be the control module for the heater. I can set the set point for the temp that I want to reach and the plus and minus, and it will keep it in that range. By putting these on smart outlets, I can turn these on remotely, either through an app or a home assistant command, so I can preheat that chamber. And then once I get it preheated, because once again, Bamboo knows nothing of these devices, so I can preheat this chamber and get it nice and toasty. Then start my print, load my filament, start my print. And that way I get a preheated chamber that's already been heat soaked, and it can start and run its print the way it does. And it doesn't have to, uh, and it will, like I said, it will print the bed, and the extruder or bed and the hot end will cool down. But since there's ambient heat still in that chamber, the part's not going to cool down as fast. Therefore, I have a better chance of a larger polycarbonate or nylon part not warping and wasting a lot of expense. Yeah, and even ABS and ASA print better at 65. That is true. I will tell you that this printer, this the BambuLab X1C, and I'm sure the P1S, which is the enclosed one, does as well. It prints ABS and ASA darn well with default profile. When I've been adjusting my profiles, I've literally just been primarily adjusting number of walls and amount of infill for strength, right? If I'm doing like a structural printer part, I'm running it at a stronger setting. I'm running Voron settings or whatever the recommended settings are. So yeah, and if you want to know what heater I'm using, this is it's the mini heater. Like literally, it's the mini heater. With the part, there's the on focus. So this is on Amazon. The best thing I can tell you is go to the video that was made by um, Ember Prototypes, exactly where I went and grabbed this at. It's nice. So we were talking earlier about putting a second thermostat in this right in the heating element. If you watch the video by Ember Prototypes, he took the front cover off and tore this down. There is a resettable fuse in the unit. It's a actual it's a metal, it's a bimetallic fuse. So if it gets too hot, the one metal will like basically bend and break the circuit. So this does have a thermal fuse protection in it, right? So this already has that in it, and then all you really need to do is um, do your set pointing, and you're good. So I think what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to do some Kapton tape and bring that thermostat just right up the edge here with some Kapton tape and hold it in place. And then I'll put my door back on, of course, and be able to um, get this going again and get it printing again. In fact, Kapton tape. Where did I put my Kapton tape? It is not in there. Means it's still over here somewhere. Blue tape means Kapton tape here. There's some Kapton. Here is the rest. And for those of you that don't know because you're way too young in the hobby, Kapton tape, you can put this down on your print bed and print directly on Kapton tape. Like that's how we used to do it back in the day. No, I've got a whole other roll of this somewhere. Oh well. This is why I need to clean up and straighten up, is so I can find these things. So I'm going to take this Kapton tape. I'm going to try and cut it down to size and be able to put it right down on here to hold this. And I'll probably do the whole cable just to hold the whole cable in place. Go to bench side. So I'm going to have that thermostat right up, or thermostat, the thermocouple right here at the top. So I'm going to just tape that whole thing down this whole side here. And so I will have to trim this down in width some. And this is a brand new. Seriously, what did I do with that roll? That annoys me now. I know I have an already opened roll of Kapton. Does anybody else lose stuff in their shop? Please tell me you do. In your shop, in your printer room. Please, somebody else confirm for me that I am not the only one that has a messy enough shop that I continuously lose things like whole rolls of tape. You're about to attempt to print on some power mesh. Yeah, I figured Jeremy does. That, yeah. What filament is a chain? That entire print is PLA. That entire chain sword print is, I believe it's any cubic PLA gray, which means I do have to be careful that it doesn't sit in a hot car and get warped, but I don't plan on putting it in a hot car. I'm glad I'm not the only one that loses stuff. Because that does drive me nuts. Not in here, right? Because this would be the other place where I'd expect it to be, is in a box with electrical stuff. No, it's not there. Not there. Not there. And Yeah, like I said, we've got a storm bolter, a regular bolter, the chain sword. We've got a set of armor to still assemble and then prime, paint, the whole 9 yards. And with the armor, I am most likely going to be using the plastic welder to weld that, um, at least on the inside, while I work on doing some other stuff to it. Yeah, this is going to drive me batty. I don't know. I'll open and use that one, and then I'll find the rest like tomorrow or so. What I'm going to do is power this off because that's going to give me the ability to set the printer on its side. Um, I guess I could do it while it was powered on, but I tend to not do that if I can help it. So I'm going to lay the printer my way so that I can manage this cable a little bit easier, hopefully. And then we drop half of our bento box. That's okay. Should have expected that. There we go. So that's going to allow me to bring this cable down and at least have one less thing that's kind of in the way as I'm trying to route this around and keep it away from moving parts as much as possible. Whoopsie. Yeah. Oh, nice. So you basically are embedding a mesh into the print. Self-adhesive network cable chase. True, I could. That is something that I definitely could do. Probably be easier than trying to run a long amount of very flimsy cable or tape that is not going to play that nicely when I go to do what I'm trying to do. Because it likes to curl. This tape is very, very thin. Like standard clear tape, like desk tape, is a lot thicker than this is. This is very thin stuff, and it's specifically designed to be used in high heat and electrical environments. See if I can. Probably what I need to do to, you know what? I think what I'm going to do is just cut a small piece of that. Use it to tack that in for now. We don't want to cover up the whole end. In fact, we don't want to cover up the end at all. We'll have to take that back off, but meaning the end of the thermostat itself. Got that there. Peel this back a bit. Put that off. And then we'll take our razor blade. Should be able to just slice this right down along the front edge. And there we go. That's off there. That's squared away. That's run there. I doubt if this is going to ever go all the way down. And if it does, it'll push its way away. Or I can come back here and just do a little bit of tape to hold that off to the side. That's the deal. The cable here, I might put a little bit of tape across that to hold that down. Just going to use this tape copiously here and there to hold the cables kind of where we want them. Just going to do little strips. Think of it like doing the like when they're covering cuts up and they do a little fabric stitches, I guess is what we'll call them. We're just going to get this, hold it down in there tightly, tape that to the back wall. That'll help hold that down. I'll be able to raise the bed up and then do some others down there just to add some additional protection across these wires popping loose and getting caught as that bed moves up and down. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm going to get this moved back over here as soon as we're done with the stream. And I want to do some more thinking on this stuff. Of course, I'm going to get plugged in. I just need to figure out how I'm going to plug it in over here, in which way, because of the way that the outlets on that, it's a UPS, so the outlets are on both sides of it. So, okay. Home says I. And it's going on its long. I cut another strip of this. Oh yeah, it's definitely a little bit tricky with tape, just trying to make sure that you're getting everything taped down together and that you're taping it closely and holding it down. Should be fine there. It doesn't really come up much. Eventually, I tape things around two different steel rods up against the side of the printer. So it stays in place and doesn't. Probably would have been better to use gravity to my advantage and have the printer still on its side to do this, but alas, I did not think about that and did not set myself up for success very well. Okay, fine. There we go. Now that's out of the way. I'm going to have to wash my hands yet again. But with some tape here and there, we have now managed to secure our wires so that they should be out of the way. We shouldn't run into any issues. Like I said, I'm going to take this back over and put it back over on the uh, table over there where it normally goes so that we can continue to print with it. And all of my connections are coming out the left side, which is where it's going to drop, basically be able to drop straight down and go into my UPS. So we're back up and running. We just need to install some filament and get back to printing. And with that, I'm going to say that's kind of where we're at for the stream. This is as far as I'm going to take it here. I need to do some reading and figure out how to program the controller for this. Of course, I'm going to have to plug it into something to do said programming because it needs power to do that. And yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be set up to do here. Thank you everybody for being here again. Like I said, this was just going to be a quick and easy thing. I did want to talk about the stuff that we printed out earlier. I do think that those IKEA squares, and let me pop one off behind me here. So this is the 220, excuse me, this is the 200 by 200. They also have a 240 by 240, which won't fit on this particular printer because this is a 220, 225 by 225. But these will be nice. I can use these to set up different sizes or different amounts of the panels for different areas, especially as we set up and start either trying to do some displays or trying to set up like a packing station and stuff like that, where we can leave some things mounted on the wall that we need common tools, tape, scissors, what have you. We can set up a dedicated station and have it set up and rearrange it as we need to or as we evolve, so that as the business takes off, we have the ability to adjust. And the nice thing about these is, you know, easy to mount with some M4 screws, and there's either brackets that you can use to mount these that you can hammer into the wall, or there's a den rail system that you can basically mount these to den rails, which makes it a lot easier to just do one strip and then hang everything down off of here. So that's going to be a pretty nice little system to get shot. So, oh, thanks, Keela. And like I said, reach out to, you can either get them from Cap or from Bamboo, or I would say reach out to uh, Aaron or Erica at Cap Tubes and get you some new tubing for your AMS system. I think that may help some as well, because like I said, as we run, like I'm probably due, because once I looked at and realized on the other stream that this printer has um, general device info. Yeah, this has 1,600 hours on the printer that we were working on, and the other one has like over 1,300, probably closer to 1,400 hours now of printing on it. I've like I said, I have run ABS and ASA glass filled and carbon filled through the AMS attached to this unit here. So chances are I'm probably going to need to um, swap out my PTFE tubes soon as well. So I think, did they come with a spare set? They might have. And if they did, God only knows what I did with them. So I probably just need to go and order a couple of sets from Cap Tubes myself. So, okay, Westry, have a good night. Yeah, I got to do that as well because I actually have to drive into the office tomorrow. Actually, the next 2 days. But tomorrow when I drive in, I'm going to get my new eyeballs. Same frames. I got the same frames, but it's a wildly different prescription. So Thursday, I might be able to see the screen without having to do this. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Or maybe I'll have a migraine and it'll just be a bad day all around. But let's see who's online right now. Got Maker Deck Course, Way Cool Wood, Hagar the Great, Declarations, Cool, Sid Heresy, Wrecking Designs, Static Tides, The Gang, Cleveland, Prophet DNA, Good Enough Painting, and Science. Science is getting ready. Not they're starting. You guys feel like going over to Prophet DNA? A little bit more adultish. It's later at night. They're a hoot, Mr. and Mrs. Prophet. They're kind of a hoot. It looks like they're doing some brick building maybe, or brick building or miniatures and models. So yeah, they're building the Aurora. So I say let's jump over to Prophet DNA. I will go ahead and get that raid started. So once again, thank you everybody for being here. Once again, because I have failed to, I don't know, do my own self-promotion here. Let me try and slap this up real fast. We've got the second anniversary Twitch stream coming up on January 18th. That is a Saturday. We are going to start at 10 p.m. Giveaways are not going to start right at the beginning of the stream. We're probably going to wait until 11 and start giveaways then. Right now we have giveaways scheduled from West 3D, KB3D, Polymaker, Fadis, LDO Motors, and Fabrico. There may be more, and there's some special prize, or not prizes, but there will be a Solval SV06 that will get unlocked with a completion of a level 10 height train. So yes, it's January 18th, starting at Saturday. So please come out and hang out with me. And once again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We're going to run over to Prophet DNA. I'm probably going to raid and run and go hang out with Mrs. Dragon after I move this printer back where it belongs. But thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay dry, and we will see you on Thursday. Bye now. And for those of you that are watching this as a VOD or once again over at YouTube, please, please, please do me a favor. If you like my content, like and subscribe. Click the bell after doing so that you can get notified of new stream and new contents that are posting. And there should be a new video popping up here based on the algorithm of YouTube. Suggested video right there. Thank you, everybody. Great day.